All right, good morning. Happy race day. It's Andrew here with Fast Cars, Fast Money, and we're talking about Las Vegas on Selection Sunday. So I'm rooting for Dayton today to win the A10 tournament, sneak a ticket into the big dance. Hopefully that happens. I'm recording the video before they play, so we'll see. But turning the page to NASCAR, we're going to our first 1.5 mile intermediate style track for the 2026 season. This is a quote unquote real racetrack. This is more of the typical NASCAR style and track that we're used to seeing. So far we've run 8 races at Las Vegas. So we have a pretty good sample size of data to go off of. You can also look at practice and qualifying as well. But really, the last couple of weeks, it's been different types of strategies and things we want to focus on. Today is kind of your typical DFS strategy where we want probably 2 lap leaders to build around and then trying to round out the rest of your lines with good value plays in terms of who can offer some finishing, potential and some place differential upside. So when you get to the driver by driver breakdown, we got 4 drivers here in 10K plus. So you got Larson, Bell, Hamlin, and Byron. Might be a little bit of a cop out, but I'm going to say I like all of these guys, kind of for different reasons. So Larson has been by far the best driver at Las Vegas. He won not the Xfinity, the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race yesterday. Over those 8 races here, he has 2 wins, 5 top 5s, and 6 top 10s. Average finish of 7.9, and he has led a series best with almost basically 600 laps here over that time. So he's going for the sweep today. He is the favorite coming into this weekend. His car looks good. He should definitely be a contender and a lap leader. Christopher Bell starts on the pole, so he has the easiest path forward to leading laps. He's also finished top 5 here in half of the next gen races here at Las Vegas. Really, really good, lap leading potential. Denny Hamlin's also really good here. He starts right next to Christopher Bell. The Toyota's qualified 1, 2, 3. He has a win, 5 top 10s in 8 races, and he also had the best long run pace in practice. So if we get some long runs today, I really like Hamlin to work his way forward and lead some laps. And then you can't count out Byron either. He's the cheapest of the 4 drivers here. He gives you the most place differential upside. He's one of 3 drivers with 6 top 10s in the 8 races here. So those are going to be Larson, Byron, and Chastain. So we're going to like all those guys. He ranks second to Larson in laps led with 266, average finish of 10th, and he also has a win here. So really, I like picking basically 2 of these drivers up here and then kind of building out the rest of your line from there. I don't really think you can go wrong. I don't really lean one way versus the other over these 4. But that's where you're really going to want to start your lineups, at least for me. Um, Blaney's a little interesting. He did win last weekend. If you look at just his finishes, he's not really going to look like that good of a play. His average running position is much better than his average finishing position. However, even with him starting 6th, I don't know if he's going to have the pace to get up there and lead laps and be a dominator compared to the Byrons, the Hamlins, the Bells, and the Larsons for relatively the same amount of money. You can't play everybody, so just based off those reasons, I'm really not getting to Blaney too much. Reddick's a little bit more of a tournament play. He has 5 top 10s over the 8 races here. Should be a top 10 contender. Just don't know if he'll have the car to get out front and lead laps. Really like Chase Briscoe, though. His teammates qualified 1, 2, 3. So obviously JGR has something figured out this weekend. They have good setups. They brought good cars. Toyota looks good in general. Chase Briscoe is relatively cheap and gives you some good place differential upside. So he's a good driver to pair kind of with your top lap leading plays. Like Blaney, Elliott's just a guy I'm really not getting too much to DFS. Hasn't really had the best history here. Average finish of 19.3. Nothing really jumped off in practice. So I'm not eliminating him from the player pool, but I'm going to have very, very low ownership to him. Logano and Ford in general, I was kind of surprised about. Logano's the only other driver in the field beside Larson who has multiple wins at Vegas in this Gen 7 era. He has the best average starting position of 5.4, so it was surprising to see him qualify, relatively so poorly. But all the Penske cars just really looked off in practice, so maybe they can work on some adjustments. Maybe their race pace would be better, but that's a little bit of a concern for me. Chastain, I like him a lot. He actually has a better average finish than Larson here. His is 7.6, where Larson's is 7.9. So it's about the same. But he has five top fives and six top tens. Like I said, he's one of the three drivers in the field that has finished in the top 10 in six of the eight races. And you can get him for the cheapest of those three and some good place differential upside. Busher only has one top 10 in eight races with an average finish of 17.1. So starting 10th, there's really not too much of an upside projection there. I'm really just not clicking on him when I'm building lines. Wallace is going to be a pretty good tournament play. Can always get Bubba Wallace cheaper than Reddick. Um, you know, Starting fourth, he's going to have a good car. He should be a contender to lead laps. So he's kind of more of an aggressive tournament play. Not really a lot of place differential upside, but if he can get you some fast laps, lead some laps, finish top eight, top 10, it's a really good value play for Bubba Wallace. And I don't know how much ownership he's really going to get. Um, Hocevar is always hit or miss when we get to these 1.5 intermediate style tracks. I'm anticipating he's going to have some good pace today. The question is, can he put that together and get a full race and actually get a good result? We don't want any incidents, we don't want any spins, we don't want any contact. Just a clean race out of Hocevar, and he should be a good DFS play. But there's always that risk of playing him. Um, Kyle Busch hasn't had the best start to this season. His track history here is actually relatively pretty good. This is his hometown track, starts 24th. Based off track history alone, I don't mind going here, especially at the price and where he starts. Josh Berry did win one of these races last year, but really just was off in practice. So he starts deep, good place differential upside. So more of a cash games type of play, really not too much upside there, but you really can't hurt your line starting this deep and being that cheap as well. Priest is kind of like Busher, just starting a bit too high for us for DFS purposes. Ty Gibbs, $7,400 for a potential lap leader. Really like him a lot for tournaments. We know the top three spots are all taken up by JGR. And then you have, a lot of, 2311, some of the other Toyota cars up there as well, too. So really cheap, potentially a lap leader, really, really good value plays. Kind of same thing in Bubba Wallace. If he can lead you some laps, run some fast laps, get a top 10 finish, that's a really, really good value play for $7,400, especially for tournaments. Cindric's kind of like Barry, you just get him a little bit cheaper. Really not that much pace, not really projecting that well, but he's so cheap and he starts so deep, you really can't hurt your line. Um, Zilic is a little bit more of a pivot play off of those chalky, PD plays in this range. Hasn't had the best start of the season, but Trackhouse we know runs relatively well here, so maybe they can bring him a good setup. Kozlowski looks pretty good for a value play. He has top 10, 15 speed in the 10 lap averages, starts 28th. If he can finish 15th, 12th today, that's a pretty good value play. Allgaier is in Alex Bowman's 48 car. Typically, when we see drivers fill in for, the regulars, they do okay. I wish he started a little bit further in the field, but it's a Hendrick Motorsports car for $6,800. So, he's definitely in consideration, but he's definitely not a target play. Suarez, ironically, has had really, really good pace this season. Hasn't had the finishes the last couple of weeks, but the speed has been there. However, for DFS starting 13th, there really just isn't too much upside for me. Eric Jones starting 14th. Kind of a aggressive tournament play. I mean, Toyota looked really good in practice and qualifying, and that's evident of where Eric Jones starts. So, if he can finish top 15, relatively low on play, I really like that for tournaments. SVG is having a great start to the season. It'll be interesting to see how he does on his first 1.5 mile track this year. He really just needs a clean race. You want to just kind of maintain your point standings and not fall apart. But DFS wise, I just wish he started a little bit further back. Michael McDowell starts deep, but kind of a reason he starts deep. He really didn't have that much pace in practice. Offers a little bit of place differential upside, but I'd probably rather play AJ Allmendinger or John Hunter Nemechek. Dinger starts deep in the field, but however, he traditionally does run pretty well here. So if you go off track history alone, maybe he can turn that around. And then really surprised with John Hunter Nemechek. I don't feel like a lot of people will like playing him or will want to play him. but he had good speed in practice. I mean, he was top five in basically all the practice metrics. So we know Toyota looked really good. So, based off speed alone and where he starts for only $6,000 and relatively low on play, I really like him a lot for tournaments. And then after you get to that, Zane Smith, good pace, but kind of like Eric Jones, starts pretty far forward. You're kind of need him to hold on to that spot. Austin Dillon starts too high. I think he falls back. Stenhouse is a little bit more of a tournament play. I wish he started a little bit further back. Todd Gillen starts deep, but likely finishes deep. Noah Gregson, his is an also a hometown track for him. He starts 34th. He's only $5,500. Really, really good value play. However, the chances of him being involved in an incident or a wreck or DNFing are very, very high. But he starts 34th, so he can't really hurt your line. Not really getting the Ty Dillon, even though he starts DFL, more of a pure attrition type of play. But I'm not anticipating this race to have that many cautions or be that chaotic. There'll definitely be some, but realistically, I don't really see Ty Dillon getting like a top 25 finish or anything like that. Riley Herbst had good speed, but starting 20th, not really a punt play that I feel confident about. Cole Custer was very, slow off the pace. Cody Ware, kind of the same thing. If you just need a cheap guy, pure attrition play, maybe you go there. But if you can just afford Noah Gregson, I'd rather just go up and play Noah. So that's going to do it for the Las Vegas race. Apologies for not being able to get a video out last week for Phoenix. So it's good to be back in front of the camera again. Hope you guys all have a great day. Enjoy the race, and we will catch you next week.